Land acknowledgement. As we gather together, we acknowledge the sacred land on which we reside. It has been a site of human activity for 15,000 years. This land is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. The territory was the subject of Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and Confederacy of the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, this gathering place is still the home of many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. We are also mindful of broken covenants and the need to strive to make right with all our relations. Last but certainly not least, we acknowledge the people of African descent who were brought here against their own will or in search of a safe place to live their lives and raise their children. Reconnaissance des terres. En nous rassemblant, nous reconnaissons la terre sacrée sur laquelle nous résidons. C'est un site d'activité humaine depuis 15 000 ans. Cette terre est le territoire des Premières Nations Huron-Wendat et Petun, les Scéniques et plus récemment les Mississaugas de la rivière Crédit. Le territoire était sujet de l'alliance de la ceinture Wampum plat avec cuillère, un accord entre la Confédération Iroquois et Confédération des Ojibwe et des nations alliées à partager et à prendre soin pacifiquement pour les ressources autour des Grands Lacs. Aujourd'hui, ce lieu de rassemblement est toujours le foyer de nombreux peuples autochtones de toute l'île de la Tortue et nous sommes reconnaissants d'avoir la possibilité de travailler dans la communauté sur ce territoire. Nous sommes également conscients des alliances brisées et de la nécessité de nous efforcer de guérir toutes nos relations. Dernier point, mais non le moindre, nous remercions les personnes d'ascendance africaine qui ont été amenées ici contre leur volonté ou à la recherche d'un endroit sûr où vivre leur vie et élever leurs enfants.
Good afternoon and welcome to this week's Ask a Professional. My name is Stephanie Sandy Edwards. I'm the Director of Programs here at the BBPA and I have the honor of being your host today. All month, as we wrap up International Women's Month, we've been having conversations with Black women in predominantly male-dominated industries. This week is no different. We have the fabulous Emma Todd here with us. Emma is the CEO of MMH Technology Group, which encompasses data systems, blockchain consulting, communication and events for emerging technology organizations. Emma is the chair of the Canadian Blockchain Consortium's Mining Committee, a board member of the Canadian Blockchain Consortium, and chair for Girls in Tech. Emma achieved a significant milestone by joining the board of Tokens.com, which puts Emma as one of the 7% of women of color that currently sit on a publicly traded board. She is also past chair and executive board member of Blockchain for Impact, which works alongside the United Nations. As a seasoned speaker, Emma has spoken on a panel at Parliament in Ottawa, Canada, the United Nations headquarters, the United Nations General Assembly, and shared the stage with various heads of state, UN ambassadors, Al Gore, Edward Snowden, members of the US Congress and Senate, and more. Emma has helped some of the world's largest banks succeed, including JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and HSBC. She's also amassed a string of accomplishments, including being named Crypto Royalty by Toronto Life magazine in its annual Top 50 Influential list. Emma was also awarded one of the top 100 Black women to watch in Canada. She has been nominated for the Trailblazer Diversity in Tech Awards and has been named one of 2019's top 100 influencers for Sustainable Development Goals, among others. Emma is also known for being the host of the largest free in-person blockchain conference in Canada. Emma is also a judge for the prestigious Canadian Marketing Awards. Holy, That's a lot, Emma. It is such an honor to be
Wow.
here with you today. So for those of you who haven't guessed, Emma is, I will dub you the queen of crypto and
Thank you.
blockchain.
Not true, but I appreciate it.
That I will dub you the queen of crypto. So Emma, please tell us a little bit more about your background, how you got into this industry, and what this industry even really is. Like crypto, blockchain, they seem to be these terms that are thrown around every day with very little understanding as to what it really is.
Yeah, it's a long way from when I first started. Thanks, Stephanie. So I was initially just a girl who got out of university and went into banking in Ottawa. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Then eventually moved all over the world, went to Toronto. And then, 15 years later, got a little bit bored. Thought, what can I do that's a little bit different? And a friend of mine said, what about Bitcoin? What about blockchain? I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. This is 2016. I had no idea what she was talking about at all. And so I went to a conference and they were talking about it and it was absolutely amazing. And I looked around and I saw people from the big four. I saw EY there, I saw KPMG, and also I saw Homeland Security. I was like, what are they doing in Toronto? They wanted to learn more about Bitcoin. They wanted to learn more about blockchain. And I thought, this is something interesting. This is something new. And there was so much interest around it. And the people were so nice that I thought I need to do this right away. And I just jumped in, just completely jumped in, left banking, got into it, built the car while driving it, as I tell people. And that was 2016. I haven't looked back.
Wow. And what did that process look like for you? Building the car while driving it. I'm certain that in 2016, there weren't a lot of formal education systems set up around blockchain or, cryptocurrency. So what was that process like for you?
I mean, what I did, I tell all my clients, never do this. Always have a business plan, do a little bit more research, figure things out. But at the time, it was such a new industry, and it still is, to be perfectly honest. And everyone was just like, we need people. And I was the only marketing person in Canada that was doing this. And so it was really great. And so that really helped spread what I was doing. And I was going to these events and I realized that these guys needed help. And I had done events previously at one of the banks. And so I started helping them. And then suddenly everyone was like, can you have an event for me? And that's how I got to know people. And then because I became fairly knowledgeable and I was educating all these people and all these companies on what to do, they started to ask me to speak. And I got an invitation from Silicon Valley and I was like, what is this? And they're like, we want you to come and speak. And then I got an invitation from New York. And then I got an invitation for Europe and then Asia. And that's how it's a snowball. It's not like an all, everything happens at once, but gradually people find out about you and then they find out what you're capable of doing. And then suddenly you're in the room with these people and you're like, how did I get here? And the one thing I will say that I have learned is that if you really want to do it, you will find a way. You can make anything happen as long as you do your research, see what the challenges are, see how you can, make things happen. I really believe that for almost anything that you want to do, you can, if there is a plan, if you have a plan towards making it happen.
That's great. So let's back up a little bit and tell me, what is cryptocurrency? What is blockchain? I'm a basic person. I have no idea. So please explain it to me.
Okay. It's I think the best way for someone like you, Stephanie, the best way I can think of it to explain to you is think of gold. Gold, your parents have it, a lot of people have it. Back in the day, what they would do is, if you're not sure about the markets, what do? You put your money in gold or you buy some gold, right? Because you know that you can always trade that. What crypto is, what Bitcoin is, it's a digital form of that. So what you can then do is you can trade it. And that's actually the reason I got in, because I'll never forget, so as you guys know, I just said I was in banking and I was at that conference and someone said they just, what was it? They had transferred approximately $500,000 in Bitcoin and it had cost them $2.30. And I was like, what? And this is 2016, and I had just transferred about, say, $5,000 to $6,000, and it had cost me $80. And I was like, I was using traditional means, right? I was using the bank. And these people are like, yeah, you know, we're using crypto and it costs us this much. And what most people don't realize is that remittances, which is transferring money back and forth across, different countries, is one of the biggest money makers for banks. I mean, it's $1 billion industry. And I don't know about you, but a lot of us spend a lot of our time trying to figure out ways to keep our money, not give it away, especially to banks. And so I thought, wow, this can be really, really impactful, really impactful. How can I help the average everyday person keep some more money in their wallet? And this is 2016. This is before all this crap happened that we're dealing with now, right? So I thought this has got to be a way to make this happen. And something what we're seeing right now is that this is me getting on my soapbox. People in the financial services industry, they're not really thrilled with that. So you see them now clamping down, right? Because quite frankly, they're losing a lot of money because people are discovering additional ways that they can keep money in their pocket, that they can give it to their families, things like that. And, it's kind of a fight to survive. And most people aren't, or most companies in the financial industry aren't thinking, hey, how can we all survive together? They're thinking it's me or them. And so right now they're in it's a them, it's us. We really want to survive, so they have to go kind of atmosphere.
Thank you. So speaking about surviving, as a Black woman in this industry, what was that survival like for you? What were the challenges and obstacles that you faced, and how did you overcome some of those?
So here's the thing. I'll start by saying this. I'm not your traditional Black person. I didn't have the traditional challenges that everyone had. When I got into crypto, and I always talk about this, I have photos. I was in Toronto, and we would have meetups at Mars, which is the innovation hub. And they have pictures. There would be 500 people in the room, and then there would be 495 men and 5 women. And then there would be me. I'd generally be wearing red because I want to stand out, and my hair, it's a lot of hair. And so people would, because the goal is, if I'm going to be in that room, I want you to know who I am. I need to stand out so you remember me, right? And so people would be like, who's this person? Oh, by the way, and I forgot to say, I was the only Black person in the room, the only Black person, not just women, like Black person. And so people would come over and talk to me, and they would be like, what are you doing? Who are you? And then they would find out what I was doing. And then they would be like, oh, maybe you can help me. And then that's how it grew. And then we would be having these meetups, and then they got to be so well known. We were having them once every 3 months. We had BNN cover it. We had CBC cover it. It was a big deal, and people would see me. And once again, I would always be wearing red or orange or something to stand out. And that's how I became well known. So then when I started going to conferences all over the world, I kid you not, wherever you go, you can find a Canadian. And in the blockchain industry, it's fairly small. And they would be like, Emma, and I'm like, hey, I'm here. So I always call them my guys, because once again, I'm like one of maybe 2%, 3% now of women in crypto, but I always call them my guys. And it's a really great relationship I have with all of them. And yeah, they're there when I need them. They're there even when I don't need them, but it's all good.
That's great. Well, from the earlier interaction that I've had with you, I know that you're not easily forgettable. So I think regardless of your race and your gender, you would be remembered nonetheless. Speaking about diversity in the industry, have you seen any sort of growth in diversity, both from the number of women in the industry as well as the number of Blacks? We're not even going to try to look at intersectionality.
So in Canada, we can do a lot better, but it's an industry problem, not just a blockchain problem. So I always start by saying that. Once again, the technology sector. So what everyone has to remember is blockchain is part of technology. The technology sector as a whole needs more women. It needs more people of color, and I always talk about that. It's very, very important. So what we're seeing, blockchain is a subset of that. It's very, very small. And what we're seeing is that we do need, and we all know this, we need more women, we need more men, we need more people of color to really kind of get help us figure out the challenges that we have. Because I always believe that a team that is comprised of people of different races is a better team overall than just a team comprised of one subset of people. And so we really do need assistance. But one of the things that one of the challenges is that we just need more people going to school and getting into tech and really, doing their due diligence and finding out more about blockchain and not thinking that it's really, really scary. Blockchain can be really innovative, and we're really looking for people who like to come in and step in and see what you can do. And for crypto, it's a little bit more difficult for women because more women are risk averse, and crypto is not, it's very risky. I'm going to be honest, it is fairly risky. And so more women try to stay away from that. But, I look at charts for everything. So I'm like, you can pretty much see what's happening, unless you have interference from the government, but more on that later. Everything is, only do things that you're comfortable doing. So I would also tell people that if you're not comfortable getting into crypto, then definitely don't. And that's one of the challenges that we have with women right now, because they tend to be risk averse, and crypto isn't quite risk averse, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what would you suggest that we can do as a community to move that needle?
Oh, to make more women and
Women
men?
and people of color, yeah.
Oh, okay, so blockchain, and that one's fairly easy. If you're interested, it really doesn't matter what industry you're in right now. Have a look at blockchain, see how it can affect what you're working on currently, or if there is something that you particularly like, something in technology that you really like, have a look and see what's being done right now in that industry with regards to blockchain technology and see how you can help. And then just dive right in, do your research, like really do your research. Reach out to people, read papers, and then try and lend assistance. And then if you really like something, find a company or find some companies that you like and apply to them. And then, because if you're going to work on something that you like, it's always good to get paid. Yeah,
Absolutely. We all like to get paid.
Right, don't do stuff for free unless you really have to. And like in the beginning, you might have to do a little bit, but for no more than 1 month, 1 to 2 months, that's it. Everything else get paid. Very, very important.
Well, we at BBPA, we love our volunteers, so we take that with a grain of salt.
Sorry, look at me just ruining your business model. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Can you tell us about a project or initiative that you've led that you're particularly proud of?
There are quite a few of them that I like, that I'm pretty happy with. I think the one currently that I am is probably the Crypto Sustainability Coalition. I'm working on that with the World Economic Forum. I never really thought I'd ever say those words. Oh crap, who am I? Anyway, so it's just like, we're really looking at ways that we can show people that crypto can be sustainable, because there is a really big lobbying machine out there that is really just saying that it's not. And so we're showing them that we're showing people in the various levels of government that it can be all over the world, and we're going to give them dedicated examples of what we're doing and how it can be achieved and things like that. And it's coming out next month. It's written right now, just at their final circulation, and then it's going to be published shortly. So I'm fairly proud of that initiative I did back in 2019 as executive director for Blockchain for Impact, where we had a lot of people talk about blockchain, how really it could be good for the sustainable development goals. And so we had a conference in the United Nations headquarters in New York. And that was a big pivotal moment for me, because my family no longer thought I was crazy. Always important. Because before that, they thought I was just a crazy person. I was just a person doing this crazy thing they didn't hear about. And when I said, hey, do you guys want to go to the United Nations? Man, that was actually a good moment for me because my aunts and uncles and my dad came in, and my friends were like, the aunties and uncles are here. It was really cute.
Full force.
Yeah, so and they all sat there for the entire day, and then they went
Wow.
exploring the UN, which you really shouldn't do, but that's another story. Yeah. So
So
anyway, the
yeah,
corporate sustainability. Yeah.
Bitcoin for impact. So what, like, speak a bit more about the sustainability aspect of it.
Okay, so a lot of people think that Bitcoin takes a lot to mine it, and that it's using a lot of energy, and that it's taking away from people. What people don't realize, and this is really great, and this is mining, and I'm getting on my soapbox a little bit, so I'll try and slow down, is that the really cool thing about mining is, especially in Canada, hey, we have so many lakes, and everybody knows, hydro is what we use to do to create our electricity. And so what we're doing is we're actually using renewable resources. And so the majority of I'm just trying to get I want to give you guys some stats, but I don't quite have them on top of my head. I think 57% of crypto that is mined using proof of work is actually done from renewable resources, and that is fairly important. And renewable resources include using hydro, we have using solar, using wind. And so we're really looking at, and what we're seeing also is that machines that are coming out that are used to create crypto, now they're very energy efficient, they're trying to use green resources. And so we're really trying to make the world a better place, because it's one thing to make money. It's another thing to, but when you get taxed on it, because you have the carbon tax, you have other things like that, and then you kind of have to sit there and explain, listen, this really is good. We want to have some stats. We want to be able to show this is the equipment that we're using. This is what we're doing to make the world a better place. We try to do really good things, and one of the things I really love is that we try to use the heat from this equipment, and we try to heat places that need it. So you have houses you have that the government has that house people in need. We try to heat those. We try to look at how we can help schools, things like that. And we're really trying to work with a really active or framework that people in Canada can use, or companies in Canada can use, to show to the government, here's what we're doing with our crypto mining, and here's how it's benefiting people in the community. You want to be a good corporate citizen, and this is one way that we're doing it.
Absolutely. Wow. It's a
I'm
whole
sorry,
different...
I kind of went.
No, it's a whole different side of the industry that I don't think anybody knows about or even discusses. So I'm going to circle back to the concept of crypto and Bitcoin, and I'm interested to learn your take on traditional banking institutions and traditional ways of investing versus Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. I have to tread lightly here. Okay. Let me start by saying all over this is please do not take this as how do I say this diplomatically? Do your own education. Make sure that everything you do, you're comfortable with doing. Don't invest what you can't afford to invest. And this is not financial advice. Once again, everyone's is not financial advice. So what I like about crypto is that it's just the ease of use. Okay, for me, it's the ease of use. It's hard to get started, but you do have some companies now that make it so much easier than when I did it. You have Wealthsimple in Canada, you've got Robinhood in the US, you've got you've got Coinbase, they're doing some good things. It's fairly easy to do. And then if you want a little bit more, a little harder, you have other companies such as CoinSquare, you've got Binance. CoinSquare is Canadian. They're nice, but I'm not a huge fan of their interface, but it's good to use a Canadian company where you can. And what I like about it is that I can just transfer money to you for, once again, fairly affordably compared to banks, although some banks are fighting back now, and I think they're doing it for free. But yeah, there's a charge in there somewhere. I just haven't really looked into it, because no one does anything for free, and We all know this. And if you don't, you've just been told nothing is really for free. So, yeah, so what I like about it is just ease of use. I like that it doesn't have a middleman. I don't want someone telling me what I can and cannot do with my money. And that's what, so when I say middleman, that's what I think of banking and financial institutions are. They control what you do. They can control who you send your money to. So I don't know if anyone's ever had to send a wire transfer in the last 2 or 3 years. When you send a wire transfer, you invariably get a call from the compliance department asking you who you're sending it to. It's part of their anti-money laundering procedures, right? Things like that. But even then, if you're just like, oh, I'm sending to XYZ, if they don't like your answer, they can not send the wire transfer. Now, overall, if you're a nice, person's just sending it from point A to point B or whatever, that's fine. But I just don't like the fact that they can just sort of change their mind and do what they want. So one of the challenges that we also have right now, I'm trying to figure out whether not to get into it, I won't, but it's just, complete oversight and decision-making on what you can and can't do. And I really don't like that. And crypto gives you the ability to sort of do what you want and send money quickly as possible to somebody who needs it. So when they had the war, when the war started for Ukraine, we could send money right away to, help the government, and they got it within, like, fairly quickly, within 3 or 4 minutes, right? As opposed to going to your bank, figuring out how to send it, getting the information, and then doing that. It's a little bit more challenging. Whereas the Minister of Finance just put up his Bitcoin address and said, "Send money here," and we were like, "Okay, there you go." So, yeah.
And that's the behind the scenes that we don't hear about in the media.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, I can get a little bit technical. I'm really trying to not, but sometimes I get a little bit carried away.
No, it's great. And if anybody has any questions based on what Emma has said, you can raise your virtual hand. You can put it in the chat. We are monitoring the chat. And we will get to your questions. Speaking about media, I'm going to flip the switch a bit and start speaking about security. I read in the newspaper a couple days ago that there was I think it's a self-proclaimed king of crypto that claimed, I see the look on your face already. Let me get through my question. That claimed that he was kidnapped and tortured, held for ransom. What sort of security risks or threats, personal security risks or threats, do you feel you're affected by, or you need to be considerate of by being in this industry?
I mean, well, first things first, perhaps don't proclaim yourself the king of crypto. Just rule number one, especially when no one else has really heard of you. So if you do that, there's a term that's circulating. It's called, I'm gonna paraphrase it, mess around and find out. Yeah, he messed around and found out. So don't advertise what you're doing, just do it. Like, nobody needs to know. If you're looking for fame and fortune, there's a downside to fame and fortune, and this man found it. I don't know whether or not it's true. It could be. I've heard of this happening. But generally speaking, I'm not going to kid you, when it happens, people tend to keep it to themselves, right? Because they don't want to make themselves another target for somebody else. So I would say if you're in crypto and if you bought crypto or whatever, generally it's kind of like when you have money, you don't go around saying to everybody, "Hey, I make $500,000," or I make $1 million. You keep that stuff to yourself. Nobody needs to know your private business. And just remember that, right? So I'd like to say I feel a little sorry for this person, and I kind of do, because you don't want anyone to get tortured or whatever. But I really think that the first stop was for him not calling himself the king of crypto, not posting that stuff around. And especially if you're going to steal someone's money, allegedly, perhaps don't do that. That's what I have to say. But okay, but generally speaking, for the average person, just sort of keep your information to yourself. Keep everything stored in 2 places if you can. And just be careful and don't be out there broadcasting what you have. That's probably the most important thing. Keep your stuff to yourself. That's it.
Okay, we have a question in the chat. Do you believe the recent collapse in crypto-friendly banks in the US was a coordinated attack on the industry or truly mismanagement?
No, it's a coordinated attack. You can go and actually read about it. It's called Operation Choke Point 2.0. It was quite shocking actually, because I didn't really know about Choke Point 2.0, and then someone sent me an article that Nick Carter had written, and then you just start to see, and this was about a month ago before all this happened. And then I had been in Ottawa and we had some meetings with the federal government, and I won't go into my feelings about that, but you just kind of sat there and you realize that, you know, this is not going to have a happy ending as I would like, with regards to them doing what we need and working together to advance crypto and blockchain. Yes, I believe it's a coordinated attack. If you look at what Barney Frank said about Signature, and dear God, as someone who was in banking for 15 years, I never thought I'd be agreeing with anything Barney Frank said. He's the author of the Dodd-Frank agreement. And you know, he's absolutely right. If you look at Signature didn't need to be shut down. But the government, and then when they asked, they said that they cited, they didn't believe in the board of directors anymore. So they arbitrarily shut down Signature and sold it to a new bank, and that bank now has an agreement that they will not take anything that is crypto related. So they'll only take the assets that are not related to crypto. And they just sent a letter out yesterday telling people that if you don't give us a new bank account to send your money to, for anyone who's crypto related, by April 5th, they're going to just mail a check to you. Mail a check. You've got millions of dollars in the bank, you're going to get a check. Crazy.
That you might not be able to cash.
That you might not be able to cash. That's the best part. That's the best part. So,
okay, so
it's been a challenging time. So yes, you are correct.
Okay, and do you see a future with decentralized finance without any interference from traditional finance or unelected officials?
Ooh, yes, in certain countries, but overall, no. There's going to be interference somewhere. Yes, especially in the next 10 to 15 years, guaranteed. There has to be. Once again, this goes back to what I was saying before. Banks are fighting for their way of life, right? And we're kind of coming in and trying to change that, and they don't like it. Think of it, I think the best way to explain it to you is Uber. Remember when Uber came in and all the taxi companies were like, what? And it really changed it. And now people are using Uber, and less money is going towards the taxi companies. This is kind of like what's happening. We're trying to change financial institutions, and they don't like it, so they're fighting for their way of life. And so what do? They do lobbying. You do lobbying, talk to your government officials, you do all this stuff, and then this is what we're seeing as a result with Operation Checkpoint 2.0, and what you're going to see happening going forward. So we just sort of have to plan for that and do what we can.
Okay, and do you feel Canadian legislation is really that much more friendly than US laws?
No. I had to really catch myself there. I just caught myself just in time. No, it is not. No, it is not. No.
Okay, well, our audience is going to get us in trouble with all these politically charged
really?
questions.
Okay, I haven't seen the questions. Let me go in and have a look.
No, those are the ones I've been asking
okay.
from our audience. So I'm going to come back, reel it back in a bit. And, you know, when I was reading your bio at the beginning of this session, and I read about all of your accomplishments, you know, when you're speaking about working with the World Economic Forum, it's, you know, I sit here and wonder, when you reflect on where you have come in your life, in that journey, what would that conversation with your younger self look like?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, it wasn't on the list of questions, was it?
It was not. That's a good one. So, okay, here's an interesting thing. I'm the kind of person that I just kind of go out there and I just do it, right? Have an idea, I go out there and I do it. And a lot of these things sort of take planning, like I said before. I'm very strategic. If I want to do X, I'll make a plan on how to get there, and then I'll do it. So the World Economic Forum is a part of it. It was a 3-year plan to get there. And that's part of my overall goal, to speak at the World Economic Forum on the main stage. And so I went to World Economic for the first time in 2019. And that was just, it was instrumental and life-changing. I thought I really need to be part of this. But that started with me going to the United Nations and then them saying, oh, Emma, look at what Emma can do. And for the United Nations, it then started with me saying to somebody, why is everyone getting, all my other friends are getting, they were getting requests to go to the United Nations and I wasn't getting one. And they were like, Emma, I'm pretty sure that you can get one if you really asked. And I thought, oh yeah, maybe I can. And then when I was able to accomplish that, I realized that, so I made a plan, and I realized that once I accomplished that, there's really nothing that I can't do if I don't put my mind to it. And once I realized that, everything else just sort of came. I mean, I work hard for it and people don't see that. They don't see me just sitting at home and working, or they don't see me sitting in an airport furiously like having meetings with people trying to get things done before my flight. They just see like, the fun things, or they don't see me frustrated with the government, but trying to really hide it and not say things I really shouldn't when I'm talking to them. But I really think that accolades are nice. It's really good so people can see that you're serious about things and that and they take you a little bit more seriously, but I'm like, you don't really need them. What you just sort of really need to do is do something that you love. When you love something, it doesn't feel like work. It really doesn't. And even though I'm frustrated right now, like beyond frustrated with everything that's going on with Choke Point 2.0, I still love what I do. And that makes it a little bit better. It really, really does. It's better to get up in the morning and even though you're not happy, you still love what you do, as opposed to getting up in the morning and really not liking the industry that you're in and not liking what you do. Because at that point, like, the paycheck doesn't matter if you're just miserable, right? Like, I'm not getting enough sleep right now. I probably am averaging 5 hours a night, but I'm still happy. I'm still happy.
Yeah, so to little Emma, sky's the limit. Love what you do.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry.
Goals.
For little Emma, what would I tell her? Yeah, just don't have any regrets. Everything happened for a reason. Keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. Like, everything will work out. It's probably better to peak later in life than it is early on in your career.
Yep. If we have any athletes out there, they could probably attest to that, because that's like many athletes as well. They peak early and then they spend the rest of their lives trying to figure out what next.
Exactly. So just keep doing that. You have good friends. Continue to rely on them. You have, like, your managers are good at, you'll be relying on them later on in life for advice on things. Yeah, try to eat healthy, exercise, and sleep more. There you go. I know.
And what do you see the biggest challenge facing the crypto industry in the next few years?
Government, 100% government. We are spending a lot of money with lobbyists, and something I never thought I would do. In 2016, when I got into crypto, just because I wanted to find a way for people to be able to send money more affordably, I never thought in 7 years I would be then saying, now we have a lobbyist firm that's lobbying on our behalf to the government, because we need one. We do. We really, really do. And so the government really is our challenge. They deliberately continue to misconstrue things that we're saying and that we're doing. And it's because they really have blinders on and they tend to see the negatives of everything. And we're doing our best to right those wrongs. But, if the car doesn't want to turn, the car doesn't want to turn. So we're going to keep working away at it. I tend to be like, I think, what's the term? Water dripping on a stone. Eventually I'll get my way, but it's going to take a long while. But I have to, and what the industry has to temper that with is water against a stone, along with banging your head against a brick wall when there could be a window right beside it. So we kind of have to just look and make sure that we're evaluating all the right things, and we're looking at the right methods to carry out what we need. And so, it's interesting. I'm not bored. I will tell you that. If you don't want to be bored, everybody, get into blockchain. You will not be bored. But and I've got great colleagues around me, or my colleagues are incredibly smart, brilliant. I am constantly amazed every single day that I'm able to message these people and get responses from them, and they help guide me. There you go.
It's amazing, and perfect segue to the next question. Speaking about your colleagues and how awesome they are, who or what has been your biggest inspiration or motivator in your career to this point?
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna kid you. I'm gonna borrow a little Snoop Dogg. Me. I've been my biggest inspiration. But no. Realistically speaking, I have a group of friends that I just met about 2 years ago, and these are some of the most influential Black ladies in Canada, and I didn't know I needed them until I met them. It's so impressive when you have a group of ladies that just want to, meet you and celebrate what you're doing, and are just really kind and just helpful and don't want anything from you. They just want to amplify you and make you the best that you can possibly be. And I've never had that before. And it's just really impressive that you have this. I didn't know that you had this group of ladies, and every year they have a big party in August, and they invite all these other Black ladies. Stephanie, you're getting an invitation. You will show up. You will love it. You will effing love it. And it's just really impressive that these ladies are my friends, and I will do anything for them because they're just kind. At the end of the day, you just want people who are kind, who are helpful, and then you reciprocate. And so I don't want to call their names, but this group of ladies, they're everything to me. Yeah.
That's amazing. And would you say that you've had any mentors throughout your journey, personally, professionally?
So no. So here's the thing. I didn't know I really needed mentors until I saw how I was affecting the mentees that I have. I have a group of friends. Here's the thing, right? When you're in a new and emerging industry, right? You're really walking the road and everyone's walking behind you, right? So what I do is I have a group of friends and we're all walking the road together. So we're all kind of side by side. Some people are a little bit more ahead because they started before I did, but we're all sort of learning from each other. And I have a really good friend, one of them who got me into the industry. She's the one who suggested that I go to that conference. And then I get her advice on, oh, so what do I do for this? What do I do for that? Because she has been in the industry about 2 years before I got in. So she's walked that road a little bit further ahead. But no, I didn't have any mentors. I just have people I ask questions of, and there you go. But no mentors. But I would tell people, get one. Mentors are very, very important, and they make things a little bit easier for you. The challenge with me is, once again, that the level that I'm at, there isn't really anyone who's doing the same level of thing that I am, who aren't my colleagues right now. But if you can have somebody who's already done this before you, they can help you eliminate some of the stuff, shall we say, let me not say the other word, some of the stuff that you could avoid stepping into, and people, for example, that you shouldn't associate with, and things you should not do, and perhaps things you should not say, because you don't know that this person doesn't like that or X, Y, and Z. So definitely a mentor is very, very helpful. I will say that, despite the fact that I don't really have one, a mentor is very helpful.
That's great. And as a business owner in a very technologically driven industry, how do you manage, both the technical aspects as well as maintaining the business aspect?
Okay, so this is a good one. So I spend a lot of my time reading. I spend a lot of my time doing things that are non-traditional. So if anybody is in business, you all know they all tell you to read books, right? Read books and learn and all that stuff. Here's my challenge. The industry I'm in is moving at such a rapid pace. But by the time you read the book, it's already like not valid anymore. So I spend a lot of my time reading news articles. I am now that person that has like the New York Times, the financial, the pink one, Financial Times in the UK. I am that person that is listening to interesting. Got Masterclass. Masterclass is really good. It helps you understand what current CEOs are doing. It's not cheap. It's about $200. But if your work can pay for it, that's fantastic. It's really, really good stuff. Like thousands and thousands of people who are speaking and very helpful. And yeah, I would definitely say that I spend a lot of my time reading, and I spend a lot of my time on Twitter. Believe it or not, for my industry, Twitter is your best friend.
Wow. And as we have 10 minutes left, and I do want to open it up to some questions. I think my last question for you would be, what would you tell somebody like me who's interested in, investing in crypto as a newbie, other than do my own research?
That's literally all I can tell you without going to jail. Do your own research. Do your own research. Hang on. Let's see. Do your own research. Start by looking at maybe coin market cap, looking at the top coins, and then they have like information in there, like a summary. And then it gives you a snapshot of the coins that they're talking about. And then what you want to do is do your research. Do your research. Yeah. Be right back, guys. I'm listening. I just have to be right.
Okay, and we have a couple questions. So one of the questions for Emma is, what do you know about pi? So when she comes back on screen, we will get her to address that. I know Emma's sitting in an area that she warned me would be high traffic at a certain time. So I believe that's the challenge right now. Yes.
Yes. What do you mean by pi?
Ali,
I missed that.
if you'd like to, if you're able to unmute and ask a question, just raise your virtual hand so it'll be easier for us to locate you amongst.
I'm not familiar with that. I'm not familiar with pi.
All right, so while we're waiting to get more information from Ali, there's another question from Christopher. How many more Bitcoin halving bull runs do you see that there's left in order to get massive financial gains? Now, Christopher has been sending in.
Christopher, you can't say that, Christopher. Massive financial gains. Christopher, here's what I will tell you. The next halving is scheduled for 2024. And then they occur every 4 years for massive financial gains. Once again, Christopher, I do not want to go to jail, so there's things I cannot say. And besides, it's a very speculative industry. All I would tell you is that the halving happens every 4 years. The last one happened in 2020, and you can go from there, my friend. Have a lovely day.
To which Christopher responded, oops. So we have pi is blockchain run on your phone, or PI. I'm not sure if
Yeah, okay. I am not familiar with that one, my friend. Blockchain run on your phone. Okay, I'll have to look into that one. I do know that we did try. Good Lord, what is this? When was this? 2020? Oh, no, 2016. 2016. Good Lord, time flies. We tried to do a bunch of things on our phone, and Apple did not like it, and Apple summarily blocked a bunch of things. So we'll see what happens there. Let me have a look at that. But I do know that things that run on your phone, sooner or later, Apple doesn't like it, and then they shut you down. But maybe this one's different. Times have changed. 7 years later, let's see what happens.
Okay,
mine's fine. I'll look it up. Mining. I am not familiar with racks. Sorry. Sorry, I apologize, Stephanie. I got ahead of you. I'll let you ask the
It's
question.
quite okay. You can go ahead as long as you read the questions out before answering them. So the rest of our
Okay,
audience
let's see.
answering.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Taxes. Taxes are, you might need to expand on that, but for taxes, you need a definitely an accountant that can do them for you. I have one. I adore her. I do whatever she tells me, and then you sort of go from there. But you do need someone to evaluate your taxes. Thank God we're a little bit more friendly here in Canada than in the US, but definitely you need an accountant to do your taxes. Or H&R Block. Hey, they understand crypto. It's their business. They got to understand. Like they should have a blurb for taxes with crypto too. But yeah, you do need to pay your taxes, especially if you sell, because you've got capital gains. If you're selling at a profit, you have to pay. You've got capital losses, that's a different story. But your accountant once again will tell you, or H&R Block. For networking events, I don't know what you mean. You'll have to specify a little bit more on that one. No, I'm not familiar with Rex. Yes, definitely not financial advice, but I'm not really familiar with it. I'm not familiar with MinePi. I'll look into it because mining is my jam. And there you go.
Okay, so we're gonna open it up. If anybody else has questions for Emma, we have another 5 minutes or so, and we have, what threat do central bank digital currencies pose to general crypto adoption by the general public?
Apples and oranges. One is, oh, okay. It's apple and oranges. What threat for the CBDC do they pose to general crypto adoption? One is just saying, hey, instead of us using general cash, or like Interact, that's money in our account, they want to change it to an actual digital form. The challenge with that is that the government can then obviously see what you're spending your money on because everything's going to be encrypted and they can just see what you're doing. Kind of like what China is doing right now. But that being said, there's a time and a place for everything and it could potentially work. I'm not a huge fan of them, which is really, I'm going to get some flack for that because a lot of my friends are in CBDCs. I'm not saying there isn't a place for it. I'm just saying I don't like it. I don't like anything where the government can track you just because as I get older, I'm becoming my grandparents. The government's in our business too much, and you're like, what do you mean? I don't care because I only do things that are good. It doesn't matter. You just don't really want them like gathering all this information about you. I don't want anyone gathering all this information about me now. I think differently than other people, but that's just how I feel. How is it for mass adoption? So that is just the government's currency that everybody uses. Bitcoin and crypto is just regular or different kinds of digital currency that have nothing to do with the government. And so it's apples and oranges. You can use one and not the other in both cases and vice versa.
So at the risk of sounding as a part of the older generation, it almost sounds like this is a new way of putting money under your mattress to keep it safe.
What for
crypto.
Bitcoin? Yeah. I mean, yeah, that could be an interesting, but I wouldn't say faulty way of doing things. One thing that we're seeing now is, and once again, this has to be explored, not financial advice, just me musing off the top of my head, is when we saw that the various banks were failing, what we're seeing is that people started buying more crypto. So they were like, okay, the banks are going down, let's go buy more Bitcoin. What I thought we would see is people buying more gold. And instead we're seeing people buying more crypto. So that's fairly interesting. You can never predict how people are going to act though.
Yes. Okay, well, Emma, it has been an absolute pleasure having you here with us. Christopher, thank you for, supporting my virtual mattress analogy.
Yeah, the virtual mattress, I laughed. That's really good. Is there a lot of these questions are good though?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can answer Sophia's last question. There's a lot of fear and conspiracy theories around this space. Is it valid? And when you say do your research, how do you ensure you find credible info?
Oh, okay. You have to like do a deep dive in that one. So I would say Laura Shin Laurashin. She's a reporter. Google her, Nick Carter, NIC, and then CARTER. He's really good. And then just sort of go from there. If you're really not sure, message me. I'm on Twitter. No, not Twitter. Message me on LinkedIn, and I can perhaps provide you with some interesting people to follow. But those two are fairly good.
Okay, great.
Thank you for not holding back and speaking truth. Remember, guys, when I call you for bail money, I want you all to pony up. I'm kidding.
Only if they accept Bitcoin. So Emma, yes, I echo Erwin's comments. Thank you for not holding back. Thank you for being your authentic self. We expected no less. Thank you for all of the knowledge and inspiration that you've shared with us today. And we look forward to having you back for future events.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This is a lot of fun. And Stephanie, we didn't get into our real personalities. Guys, when Stephanie and I get together, oh my God, it's like.
I would like to stay employed, Emma. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I apologize.
So that is it for today's Ask a Professional. We do, as you guys know, we always have our events coming up. This Saturday, we have our community space. We are dealing with strategic thinking. It is a 5-part series that will guide you through your thinking process and how that relates to finances. It is being done in partnership with Black Entrepreneur Alliance, so that has a partnership with Schulich over at York University. So we look forward to that. Moy, who normally hosts this session, will be hosting that for us. Next week, we will be looking at digitizing your business processes. We will be exploring the digitization of businesses over the next couple of weeks through our Ask a Professional series. So you do not want to miss it. Follow us at the BBPA on Instagram to keep up to date with all of our events. And yeah, on that note, I'll just like to thank you again for coming, and we hope to see you back here both Saturday and next week, Wednesday. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely, lovely day. Bye-bye.
The Business Advisory Implementation Development Service. The BATES program is a major step forward.
I believe in the economy of women. I believe in creating our own space, creating our own financial freedom.
How do you get business? How do you get financing? How do you get approved for government loans?
We have to understand and recognize what the barriers are. And then we work to break those barriers down.
We're going to sit with you and we're going to wrap you around the best experts we have.
So time is money. The more time you lose, the more money you're losing.
Success does leave clues. And if you pick up on those clues, you too can ascend in that same path.
As an organization, we've really made specific efforts to help you pivot so that you can thrive.